Welcome back to the Z2H podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas. Producer Carl wearing his beautiful Hawaiian purple shirt today. It's looking good. We're going to be sharing some excellent New West BC craft beer today. My guest is from Ottawa, and I heard that their beer scene is not as good as ours. So I'm introducing Nick to, well, we've got 6. We'll see how many we get through.
All 6.
We're going to get through 6 Steel and Oak beers tonight. The first one, Nick, I'm going to get your opinion on it. It is a beer that they just canned today. I'm not allowed to say what it's called. It is a dark smoked lager. As you can tell, it does not look like a lager. But I don't know. Give it a whirl, Nick.
Man,
what you think.
it's honestly growing on me every sip. I like unique beers. Mm-hmm. Like when I was in Europe, in Germany, I would go with like the wildest beer on the menu. Like, what's the craziest shit you have?
Yeah.
Get it to me. I wouldn't always like it, but I like kind of trying that side of the spectrum. Yeah, exactly. This one's different. Like every sip it gets better. Again, I don't think I could have like 10 of these. You're going out with the boys or, you know, tailgating at a Seahawks game. It's not a little heavy, but the first 2 or 3, 100%.
It's hard
100%.
to like envision this being a lager, but to me, like that first taste when it hits your tongue is lagerish.
Yep.
But then you get like this dark malty chocolatey flavor.
It's incredible. A little sweet almost at the end.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very impressive.
There's our non-descriptive
we
version.
We need these guys in the LCBO.
We just like cold beer.
Big time. We have like a alcohol monopoly in Ontario right now. There's only one.
I don't think Steel and Oak distributes outside of BC, to be honest.
Honestly,
I think it gets tricky when you're shipping
cross province, which is crazy. I've heard they're like very archaic laws when it comes to cross provincial stuff. So for example, you know, in Ontario, we don't have many, if any, of the BC wineries. Yeah. And vice versa. Not many. If you go to Bimini's or anywhere out here, you won't see many from the Niagara region.
I had Jordan on the podcast, who's the co-owner of Steel and Oak, and he was saying, like, they've explored going into Alberta and they can do it. It's just they can't control the quality of the beer because they don't know how long it's going to be sitting on shelves in Alberta. So that's the reason that they haven't gone into Alberta yet. It's not it's a huge so risk. Much like policy, which they can get around. It's more like it's going to be shipped there, so it's going to be shipped in a week or something. Yeah. And then
how popular
in BC,
are they going to be?
They feel like they can control how quickly the beer is
well, it's predictable, right?
And drank, because they don't add preservatives and they don't want it sitting in a can for more than X amount of time.
Yeah. I wonder if they could set up shop in different provinces, just similar systems. Maybe. But we need them in Ontario.
Maybe
one way or another.
Business plan.
Yeah, we should. Bring it. Seriously, bring this to Ontario. This would make a killing, man. And it's just got such a unique brand. I find so many craft beers they focus on the beer, which is a good thing, but they never do good branding. Not often anyway. There are a few good ones, but some it's like they just slapped it together. And this seems really intentional, really well thought out. Consistency, like when you go into their brewery and you see all the different beers and the merch they have, which is sick. It's very consistent, which is such a good quality for a strong brand. You know, it's recognizable.
Totally.
Those hats are sick too.
They are. They look good.
Yeah. I got my girl the long sleeve. She loves it.
Tonight is going to be a mix of craft beer talk mixed with, as you can probably tell, Nick is a marketing media guy talking about branding.
Yep.
A little background info on Nick, and then I'll let him introduce himself. Nick is basically the definition of a young entrepreneur. He has a ton of shit going on. He founded a media company called Waterbridge Media in his first year of university, which he still runs. He is now a part owner of a restaurant in Ontario, which I want to ask you about.
Yep.
Because I worked in the restaurant industry for 5 or 6 years.
So did I. I didn't last too well though, actually. But a couple funny stories for sure.
Did you like cook or bartend?
So I was a cook. I worked at my first restaurant job was Eastside Mario's. I don't know if that's a thing out here.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I was in Eastside's and I was the pizza salad cook. Did okay. That lasted about a month and a half, maybe. And then the second one was this place in Ottawa is these young entrepreneurs. At the time they were young. Now they're a little bit older, but I think they have 4 restaurants. Johnny Connects is like our neighborhood, the happening spot. And what ended up happening, I worked there for a couple months, and it was, I said, I don't want to work on weeknights, like on school nights, because like when you close, you're there till 12:30 at night.
This is during university?
No, high school. And
okay.
I wasn't a big morning guy, like still not a big, like you could message me at 2 a.m. and you'll hear back from me. But if you message me at like 7 in the morning, you won't hear back from me for at least a couple hours. I like to ease into my day a little bit. And so I told them, don't schedule me on a school night. And what do? They schedule me on a Sunday. So a school night, but it was Grey Cup Sunday. So I was like, fuck that. I'm done quitting. Here you go. Resignation, never coming back. My dad was so pissed at the time, but that's actually when I knew for sure that like I can't work for someone else, selfishly or not, right?
And
I was
so
like
the entrepreneur was born.
A young snot-nosed kid, but yeah, that's when I really realized like, no, I can't do this for someone else.
I'm only halfway through your resume.
Yeah, sorry.
So let me finish.
I'll shut up.
I don't even know what this part means, but I'm going to say it. He is an investor and a business advisor in a quantum cyber security company.
Yeah.
Way over my head. And he is a co-founder of the Breaking the Plane football camp, which is associated with Marshawn Lynch's camps.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Is very cool.
Which is something I'm actually really proud of. A good friend of mine, Hamza, shout out Hamza. He works at Shopify in Ottawa, and his role is to basically account manage a lot of these big accounts. So he's got some really cool people. Marshawn, he does YG. I think he did some stuff with Kyrie. He did the Drake Scorpion release. Like, he's a pretty savvy guy and people like him. So the celebs who work with Shopify tend to gravitate towards him. Anyways, he had helped Marshawn out on his site, and Beast Mode does a lot of apparel every month. Like, Marshawn is one of the most impressive business people that no one knows about. The guy does crazy smart, savvy plays. As you would know, I guess a big Seahawks guy.
I'm a huge Marshawn fan.
Oh, huge. Buddy. And I was too, right? And so Hamza came to me, and he was actually went to a friend of ours who was one of Shopify's early employee mutual friend. And he said, I want to do this camp with Sean. And Sean has two cousins, Josh Johnson, who's a quarterback in the league. He played for the Skins this year. I think he started 5 or 6 games, but he's been in the league for like 10 years.
Okay.
And Marcus Peters.
Okay.
Is his other cousin. And they founded Fam First Foundation out of Cali, essentially a way to give back to the community. They just won I think last year, the Uber Black California Charity of the Year. They beat out, like, think about California, all the tech companies there, they were some big stuff. And so they wanted to hold their first international camp 100% free. Like, they want to just treat the kids to an experience that they'll never forget. So Hamza and I got connected, and we just like got along really well, have similar backgrounds, immigrant families, and just kind of chill vibe. He's major sneakerhead and like all this kind of cool stuff. So got along great, and we slowly started planning, and shit just came together, man. I think we had maybe 10 weeks to do it, which in like camp, in event life, that's a crazy timeline, and a lot of people were saying you're crazy. We had some pushback all over the place, but him and I were just like, fuck it, man. If we have to do this all ourselves, we'll do it all ourselves. We don't care. And man, it ended up being great success. 300 kids sold out, completely free, fed them the whole day, had all these NFLers, a couple CFLers come out. It was just a great experience. Sean and the guys, they brought like a ton of their friends and family. I think 14, 15 of them came up to Ottawa. This was cool. We got to show them around. We partied a bit. We had a pop-up. Man, the impact was insane. Like, kids at the end were crying. Like, I saw a kid walking out with his dad. He was crying. He's like, that was the best day ever. He's like, Marshawn gave me a handoff, like crazy. And I'm just like, that's exactly why we did this, right? We didn't take any money. It was completely free. Marshawn funded his entire friends and family to come up. Like they just want to give back to kids. And like, it's interesting because, Marshawn with adults is how you see him on TV. There's not much to talk about here. He's like, if you're not one of his type boys, there's not much to talk about. But when you see this guy with a kid, man, it's like night and day. He is like, he makes these kids world. Like, he was interacting with some of these kids. I'm like, that's nuts. And actually, one of my best friends, I invited a bunch of my friends that I played ball with. Yo, come coach, come volunteer. It's a cool experience. He got to hand the ball off to Marshawn. He was a quarterback growing up. So that was like his like claim to fame in football. Like, he played 15 years, but his claim to fame was handing it off to Marshawn at a kid's football camp. So yeah, we're really proud of that. And we're going to do it again this year. We may actually do one in Vancouver at some point as well, because as you know, the Seahawks are big up here, and hence Marshawn's fan base.
I love the Seahawks.
Yeah.
I went to 3 games this year.
Man, that's crazy. You're almost a season ticket holder.
Like I wish I was a season ticket holder, but that wait list is like 20 years.
I heard that.
I have a friend who's been on for 7 years, and he's still number 4,500 on the wait list.
You just put your name on at the end of the day. By that time, you'll be able to afford the...
He's 65.
Yeah, the 50 Gs it might cost every year. I hear that stadium's
Football season tickets are awesome, though, because there's only 8 games plus 2 preseason.
Well,
right?
it's doable, right?
Yeah.
Especially Seattle. I know like 25% of all Bills season ticket holders are Canadian.
Is that right?
Crazy amount.
How far away is that from?
From me, 7 hours. From Toronto, like 2 and a bit.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
So very, very doable.
Similar to Seattle, yeah.
Very doable, right? And Bills Mafia, like crazy tailgate. They fucking party, man. Like the table shit, like that really happens. And it happens all over the place. Like shit's on fire. People are passed out. Like it is rowdy. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Literally a stadium plopped like in a farmland.
Yeah.
Which most stadiums are like, urban centers kind of thing, not this one. So I would recommend.
You gotta let me know if you get a Vancouver session.
Absolutely, because we definitely need some help. I would definitely lean on you. I got a couple football buddies out here, but it really does. It takes one of the things they say all the time at FamFurs. It takes a village.
Totally.
And they believe in that. They live it. All their boys support it. They support the community like crazy. Like Sean just did a deal where he bought like millions of dollars worth of phones for the community just to hand out. A deal with Sprint. And they end up paying for the phones by like every month you have to do like 30 minutes of surveys or whatever. So it ends up getting paid back, but this guy's financing people's phones in the community. Like for what?
Crazy. Oh.
He's such a community dude. And the media rarely talks about him. But like this guy, it was like, he would literally give the shirt off his back, which was so cool to see. It's not how he's painted in the media, right?
One of the guys on our real estate team played football at UBC.
Oh, no way.
And my brother played at SFU, so I know I'm fairly connected with local.
I highly considered FSU.
SFU.
Yeah, SFU. Simon Fraser? Yeah. And when I was going, they had just went to, they're part of like a Div, they play the American teams. It's not a Div 1 school, but they're part of like a Div 2. And actually the quarterback for UBC today comes from my end of town in Ottawa, O'Connor. He played at Penn State.
New guy.
Yeah. Newish. He led them to the Vanier a couple of years ago, if you recall. Okay. Yeah, that's him.
Because a guy I went to high school with played, or was their quarterback for 5 years, but maybe he...
It must have been right after him.
Yeah,
this guy's
right
pretty
after.
young. Like he's quite a bit younger than us kind of thing, but he was at Penn State on a full ride and then ended up coming up here and they won a Vanier in his first year. Good for him.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like we could just talk about sports all day.
Yeah, because sports podcast.
Sports background, obviously.
Yeah.
One of the things I like talking about is just like, where does the entrepreneurial gene come from?
That is 100% my dad, for sure.
Yeah.
So my dad is my dad's a Croatian immigrant. So he was born in Zagreb, which is the Croatian capital, raised in Virovitica, which is about 2 hours outside the capital, like legit farmland. And like for me, like growing up, it was crazy because I was, by all accounts, I was a spoiled kid. I kind of had everything I wanted, a well-off kid from the suburbs, right? But he would always tell me, you have no idea what it's like. In the middle of winter, I'd have to walk 100 yards to the outhouse and back. And every parent's got that kind of old school story. I'm like, yeah. And in 2012, I actually had an opportunity to go back to Croatia with him, which was really cool. And they brought me to, so his parents worked out of Zagreb, and his grandmother took care of him and 5 or 6 cousins in Virovitica, like on the farm. And they took me back to the farmhouse. And man, it was crazy. Like it was it legit was a shack. Like it barely had there was holes like across the roof. And I'm just like, that to me was like a surreal moment, because it was like, holy fuck. Like my dad's a fairly successful guy. He's a estate planner for wealthy families across Canada. So he does well for himself. And to see like the rags to riches kind of transformation was was eye-opening for me for sure, and made me appreciate it a little bit more, and made me want to engage with the Croatian community that much more and see if I can bring business there or vice versa. And very hardworking people.
How old was your dad when he moved over here?
He was 12 or 13.
Okay.
So they moved to Acton, Ontario. And unfortunately, they were in a crash, and both his parents died in the same crash. So his fucking, barely knows English. He goes through this. His aunt and uncle, who had also immigrated, adopt him. I call them Buckets Adidas, so like my pseudo grandparents kind of thing growing up. And they had also adopted him, but he was like a special kind of athlete. Like he played pro soccer in Toronto for a Croatian team. He had 13 full ride scholarships in grade 11, 95th percentile in the SATs. At one point, he was like 315, 6'5", running a 4.8 because he worked sprinting with Croatian sprinters. So like just like one of those typical Eastern European fucking roots, right? But he didn't have any guidance. Like he had 3 or 4 Ivy League schools that offered him full rides. Florida State full ride as a middle linebacker. He was that fast. He had no guidance. He took a year off and ended up going to Ottawa U.
And he weighed how much?
315. Maybe a little less at that time.
He wanted to play middle linebacker?
They wanted him to because of how fast he was, which is fucking crazy, man.
For people who don't like football, a typical middle linebacker is what, like 6'4", 245?
That's like a big one, too. Yeah, that's like, that's a big one. So yeah, he had all those. He ended up going to Ottawa U, which worked out because that's where he met my mom and everything. So that's why I'm here. But the entrepreneurial gene definitely comes from him. I mean, he was playing in the CFL. He got drafted to the CFL. Fucked up his thumb a couple times, and then was just like, they're like, oh, we just got to re-break it and go through this again. And he's like, I'm done. You're making 30 G's a year, like fucking up your body, like it's not worth it. So he started his business, and it just grew and grew and grew. And he is not entrepreneurial in the sense like me, like he has many businesses and many interests, but he's entrepreneurial in the sense that like he is his own man. He started his company. He runs his company. It was at some point 30 employees. They've sold off a division and they've kind of, realigned, but they built a pretty impressive thing. And so that was actually always my like future. I was in, it was like, you're going to the financial industry. Your dad's got a company. So at 19, I'm like, Dad, okay, like, let's go. Want to get started. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't want to wait till I'm done university. I wasn't a huge school guy. Like, I'm just here to kind of play football. Get a degree is good, but I always knew I'd be my own person anyway. So I didn't necessarily felt my degree was a means to an end, if you will. So I told him I want to get started. He's like, well, you're 19, you have no financial designations. No one's going to trust you or even really want you in the meeting because like, what the fuck's this 19-year-old doing in my meeting where we're talking about, my family's finances kind of thing. So he's like, come when you graduate. I'm like, okay, sure. And then about a month or two later, Brian, one of the co-founders, who's been one of my best friends, I was 13 years old, also comes from an Eastern European immigrant family, so we kind of really got along. He's like, listen,
you've been friends since like early, like
13 years
school?
old, just after elementary school, so middle school. I was grade 8, he was grade 9, when we were just kind of, young idiots hanging out in the park with the boys kind of thing, rambunctious suburbians. And so he said, yeah, I started this thing with Alex, another buddy of ours. Here's what we're doing. We think video production is going to be big. This was maybe 2 months after they found out. He's like, you want to come on board? I'm like, 100%. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? I'm in school and playing football. Like, we always thought, if nothing else, after 4 years of this, when we graduate, we're going to have a way better experience than any of our counterparts at school, and we'll out interview any of them because we've actually had this real life experience.
Was he at Ottawa as well?
He was at Ottawa, yeah. Okay. He was taking economics.
So you're both full-time school.
Yeah.
You're also playing full-time varsity athletics.
Yeah. As you know, is like 40 hours a week. The super commitment. Huge. And like at for a while there, Waterbridge was like in Brian's mom's basement, and it was like an 8 at night to 2 in the morning kind of thing. And so then when I graduated,
let me just ask you one
more. Shoot.
I'm assuming that your university career was similar to mine, except that you graduated and I did not.
Finally, I was pushed to do it.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time playing basketball in the first couple of years.
Yeah.
very little time in school. So I'd say 40 hours is close to what I spent.
Where'd you go to school again?
I went to the States for a year.
Cool.
University of North Dakota.
Sick. Good for you.
It was interesting.
I know that school. That's a prominent school.
I got a few. It's big because of hockey.
Yeah.
It's a big hockey school.
Yeah.
They're like one of the
ice, Final Four.
Frozen Four.
Yeah.
So they're like, when I was there, TJ Oshie was there. Like they have some big.
Way.
Yeah. They were one of the top 4 teams in the country when I was there.
And at that time, that must have been, rare as shit for Canadian, especially a white boy, to go play in the States. Must have been pretty impressive.
I had a few offers, and the reason that I chose North Dakota is because they were in the process of moving from Div 2 into Div 1.
Okay. So it was a great transition.
Childhood dream for me to play Division 1 basketball.
Yeah. Man, that's so cool.
And I didn't have any Div 1 offers, so this was my option.
Yeah.
It was an interesting experience. It was so much fun. I learned a ton, grew up a ton in that 1 year. But
how was North Dakota? Like
cold.
Really, eh? Boring? Like, how do you go from BC to North Dakota? Like,
it's like 3 hours south of Winnipeg.
Oh, I had to lay over in Winnipeg. Not a fun place.
There was a 3-week stretch in the winter I was there that the temperature did not go above -40.
3 weeks?
3 weeks straight.
I thought Ottawa was cold.
With the wind chill, there was one day that was -53.
That's like deadly.
How do you go outside? I don't know.
You actually can't.
So you just stop going to class. Anyway, what I was talking about was not spending much time in class.
Man,
I didn't get much out of it. Like I felt like I was there to just resuscitate what was in front of me.
Read this slideshow, fill out this Scantron. I don't know if Scantron was big for you guys at the time, but for us it was. And it was just like, I'm in communications too, right? And I own a marketing company while I'm taking this communications. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is such non-useful information.
Yeah.
Like, not to say university is not useful. I learned a lot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not sure it's as useful for certain things as it maybe is sometimes perceived to be.
Yeah, I just learned for me that it wasn't going to be the path that was that was going to take me to where I wanted to go.
And when did you realize that?
Early, high school.
Really?
Yeah.
And then so you had your first year in North Dakota, and then what?
I realized I wasn't going to play in the NBA. And I had some friends and a relative actually that had played overseas in Europe.
Yeah.
And they had all said the same thing. It was a cool experience, but you come back at like age 28 or 30.
And you got to start from scratch.
And you're starting from scratch. And that didn't sound that appealing to me, even though I could play basketball for a few more years.
Yeah.
Making like decent money. Yep. And you come back with some savings, but you're just starting from scratch.
Yeah.
You don't have any network. Exactly.
No major knowledge, no experience.
Exactly.
Cool story, but tough to leverage.
And so I figured I would rather start spending more time working and building a career than spending all my time playing basketball.
So did you go straight to real estate from North Dakota?
Nope. That's a great story, actually.
I look forward to hearing it.
So I moved back after year 1. And with the CIS, you can't play right away.
No, you have to take that transfer.
So I had to take a year off.
Which is ridiculous. I get it if you're going from, I was going to say CIS, but it's now U Sports, from a U Sport team to another U Sport team. Okay. Fine. If a Canadian kid is coming back from the States to come home and play, I don't think that rule should apply. It doesn't make sense.
So I took a year off school because...
How was that? That must have been...
The reason for going to school is not to go to school.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
just to play basketball. I couldn't play basketball.
If I took a year off, I don't know if I ever would have gone back.
It was it was good though. I learned a ton in that year. So my dad ran sports bars and liquor stores throughout Greater Vancouver.
Cool.
So I started working at one, bartending. Literally day one. I don't know, Carl, if you know the story. Literally day one, bartending. Didn't know a damn. Literally,
and that's typically like the most experienced position in a bar, right? You kind of got to work up to that.
I didn't even drink through like high school. Yeah. I started drinking at North Dakota, of course, because I was told was the number 2 binge drinking school in the States.
Well, and I guess everyone else starts drinking at that point, because in the States it's different, right? At 21 years old, I don't know if they drink as heavily. Like
Well, and it's all house parties because no one in university can go to a bar.
Ever.
Yeah.
Which is arguably better, in my opinion.
For you, a good university experience.
Yeah, exactly. Always better, for sure. Definitely.
So I come back and start bartending. I remember one of the first drinks that someone asked me to make in my first shift was a Bombay tonic. And now, being the experienced borderline alcoholic that I am, I know what Bombay is, but I had no clue.
That's hilarious.
Tonic. I know what that is. Bombay. I look at them. They're like, they point at the bar. They're like, it's the blue bottle behind you. I'm like, all right, I can do that.
I just found out last week, stupid, but like tonic water, soda water, carbonated water, there's like 1,000 different kinds of waters. Like I just like still water, and I'm going to a party and like someone's like, can you get tonic water? I got soda water, and they're like, this isn't the same thing. I'm like, well, what the fuck is it? I can see why it would be confusing as a youngster, first time bartender. I
learned and actually really enjoyed bartending. So I bartended full time for a year, went back to school.
Good for you.
I enjoyed that I was finally making money.
And so quite a bit of it, I imagine, as a bartender, right? Decent amount.
Yes and no. Like I wasn't working at the best spots in Vancouver. I was working at like little neighborhood pubs.
Yeah.
One of them was great. So I go back. I'm playing at UBC year 3 out of high school.
Oh, okay. So you when you went back, you went back to the team.
Went to UBC, played for a year.
Cool.
And at that point, I was just kind of uninterested in, or I had lost the passion for basketball.
Yeah.
But I had found this new business world that I was falling in love with. And so I wanted to keep working. So that year I was taking 5 classes a semester.
Holy shit.
Playing full-time basketball, playing basketball and working 3 nights a week.
So that's crazy, man.
I think I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday maybe, because we had games on Friday, Saturdays.
Was 4 courses when I was playing at a time. Sometimes 3. It's a lot. People don't get it. They're like, why do these varsity athletes get preferential treatment? It's like, not preferential treatment. They get a little slack because they're committing 50 hours a week to the university through this team. Who else is doing that?
I know.
If you're not an athlete, you're not doing that. Interesting.
Yeah. So my life in year 3 was crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just decided I didn't want to play basketball anymore. It wasn't going to take me anywhere.
Yeah.
I would rather work full time and go to school part time than play basketball anymore. So that's kind of where it started. Real estate I didn't get into for a few years later. So I worked bartender for 5 years.
Must have been good for the network a little bit though.
It's starting to come back now.
It is.
You meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
But real estate is a weird game where people don't trust you until you have a lot of it's like
chicken or the egg type situation. Now they see you all over. They see your social media, like, oh, Danny knows what's up. I'm gonna call.
Like he's crushing it. We need to use that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Even though I've known you for a decade and a half.
Even though I've been Facebook messaging them for 4 years.
That's persistence, man. I love that.
So anyway, my dad just kind of fell into some money trouble, lost the businesses, so I kind of like was scrambling.
Yeah.
Took the first job I could get, and it was at Royal Bank of Canada. Yeah. Nice. Worked there for 5 months. It was the most painful 5 months of my entire life.
You hated it, didn't you?
It was not me at all.
Yeah.
It was the corporate ladder bullshit. That was never my game.
No, too much politics.
And at that point, I took a leap and took the real estate course. I had bought a condo maybe a few years before with Jamie, who I had been connected with through a mutual friend from high school.
Okay, cool.
And so I'd reached out to him and said, hey, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing right now. I'm going to get a real estate license. Can I take you out for lunch or something and pick your brain? And so we went out for breakfast. He's like, I'm at a point where I'm really busy. I need some help. Do you want to just like follow me around for 6 months? If we like working together, great. We'll figure it out. If not, at least you get some experience.
Yeah.
And that was 5 years ago now.
Never look back. He's got a great energy about him.
He's an interesting guy.
Very much. But you can tell why people are drawn to someone like that.
For sure.
Great guy to partner with.
Super charismatic, extremely hardworking.
He's intentional too. Yeah. Like obviously, we've worked together on the marketing side and done some really cool video work, but you can tell like with his thought process, he's intentional. Like he's not just shooting in the dark, which a lot of people do.
He's super creative.
Yeah.
And so like he's one of those guys that literally has a million ideas every minute of every day.
Yeah, he's probably got a journal of like 10,000 ideas tucked away somewhere. Yeah.
And he's just been like lucky with the random ideas that he picks, and they've worked out, like Steel and Oak.
Yeah, it's worked out really well. Our video, you guys came with the heat on that concept. I remember that took like.
Let's talk about that.
That took like 3 or 4 meetings to conceptualize. Beer Storm.
Yes.
Right?
Beer always makes things easier, though.
It really does. It really does. But what a fun shoot that was.
Okay, let's get into that, because I think that's a good story that I haven't really shared on the podcast. So right now we're drinking a beer called the Terry.
This is the Terry?
This is the Terry.
I like it.
It's and this is written on the can. I'm not making this up. I wish I could come up with this creative language. A dark, mild ale brewed with cocoa nibs and fresh orange peel. So as soon as I read this, I immediately thought chocolate orange, like those things that are popular around Christmas, and it literally tastes like that.
It does.
It's not as
but
sweet.
Like better, because I don't even like those. This is nice.
This is a beer that's a super like different change.
Who comes up with that?
I couldn't drink more than one of them, I think.
No, maybe 2.
It's a little sweet, but it's like super unique. I've never had anything like it.
Is that Jordan who comes up with that creative copy?
Yeah, Jamie at Steel and Oak is known as the hat designer. He designs the hat.
Let me fucking say though, those are
Jordan
some
runs the
sick
show.
hats. I will say, I was thoroughly impressed with the merchandise. Like it could almost be its own merch company for real. Like I don't know how much focus it has or needs, whatever, but when I saw the merch, I was like, holy shit, these guys have really thought it out, and they're not just slapping their logo on a t-shirt.
I'll have to show you the new GD merch afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
We got some good stuff.
I got a bottle opener last time I was here. Yeah, I was at the old office.
Yeah, we stepped our game up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Jordan does most, and I'm sorry if I'm disrespecting anyone at Steel and Oak, but I think Jordan does most of the like naming and...
Like, do they design these in-house?
They have a designer, and she actually took over their Instagram account last week, which was really cool, because she did like a bunch of behind the scenes on how she creates the labels and stuff, which is really cool for me to see.
Oh, you know what it was? Instagram just changed their algorithm. They push you down now. Like they want people to hit close friends or follow. So it's like all the other ones, but they're really pushing it down. I have friends who are influencers and they weren't too happy about it. Must be why I haven't seen it, because I typically see all of their shit, and they have a really good social.
Influencers that Instagram is fucking free.
I know, it's crazy, man.
Don't complain about it. It's free.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, but man, some of these people make crazy money on Instagram. Like it's fucking insane. Like I have one buddy I played football with. He's got like 2 million YouTube subscribers now. 250K Instagram followers, and he maybe posts on Instagram once every 2-3 weeks. Not much on Insta, but quite a bit on YouTube. Quite a bit content. Quite a bit.
Do you know how he created that following?
Yes, one of his good friends, like one of his boys, like grew up with this guy. So a super talented family. Actually, the dad's like one of the best orthopedic surgeons in Ontario. Like he's known as the knee guy. So if any of us tore our knee, he's the guy you would go see to fix it. He has 2 sons. One I played ball with, who's like this crazy talented musician, got this like Lenny Kravitz thing going. He also has, I think, 750,000 on YouTube. But the eldest, I think it's the eldest son, one of his sons created this YouTube following. He's got like 8 or 9 million now. And he was fucking so smart, because what he did is he put everyone on. His friends, his brother, his family, even his parents have one. It's like 200,000 or 300,000 last time I checked. And so what he did is he puts this guy in his video. He's like, follow him below. And then Dustin starts doing his shit. And now, here he is at, 1.8 or 2 million YouTube subscribers. And like living life off that.
One day, Carl.
One day. Top 100, right, Carl?
Yeah, that's the goal.
Great goal, by the way.
How many listens per episode do you think we need to get to top 100?
I have no idea. That's a big number.
That is a big number. But it's very doable.
Like, is it 1 million? It's 1 million?
1 million per episode?
1 million downloads an episode?
Okay. Yeah, that's got to be top 50, I would imagine even. Interesting. You guys will get there, man. Well, your consistency is fucking impressive. This is a lot of work. People don't realize that. This is a lot of work.
It's not work at all.
It's fun.
It's work for Carl.
Facts.
I just get to talk to like interesting people.
But you set this up and set this down every time, right?
Yeah.
That takes easily, like, you know, we're in production. I know this takes time. Set it up perfectly, frame it, do all that. It's like, and 2 a week. Shit. Good for you guys, man.
The goal is 100 this year, but I think we're going to do close to 150, honestly.
We must.
With the behind the scenes stuff. Because like we'll do real estate vlogs and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'll tape them all.
Yeah.
And we'll use those for the podcast just because they're like interesting behind the scenes.
Of
It's me and
course.
Jamie like screwing up on camera. So we're
Yeah.
cutting and being like, okay, fuck you. Like you need to say that. Or no.
But
It's interesting.
Equally, it's even more interesting because of how successful you guys are. Like a top 1%er, you kind of get to see the secret sauce a little bit, the behind the scenes, and like these people are just fucking real people. Like you guys are just a couple of the boys, you know. Like it's very relatable, I find, and it's almost a world where people are scared to show themselves a little bit too much, you know, the vulnerability of it. But that's how you're relatable. Like
Really,
people like
I would never do anything that alters who I am. And so I feel like real estate is a good fit for me because I can be exactly who I am. And some people love it and some people hate it, but it is what it is. And that's the way I want to run our
fuck
business.
the haters, right? It's authentic. And like I've spoken to realtors out here in Vancouver as we've grown over the last 2 years, and like everyone knows you guys. For better or worse. But like, you know, everyone knows you. That means you guys are who you are, you're authentic, and you're owning it, which I genuinely think makes a big difference.
Agree.
Yeah.
Self-awareness.
Exactly. Rare.
All right. Beer number 3, A-side. This is a hazy IPA.
Ooh.
These are the podcast listeners know. These are my favorite beer. I fucking love these beers right now. They're
That's nice.
They're citrusy,
What is
yet
that?
hoppy. Yeah.
That's not the Terry, is it?
A-side.
6.5%.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But it tastes like juice.
That's what I was going to say. If you asked me to guess, I would have said 4%. Like it's not a 3.5er, definitely a little bit stronger, but 6.5, like 3-4 of these, and
Are the hazies not big in Ontario?
They're getting there.
These are the most like popular beers right now. These hazy IPAs.
Yeah, they are. Eh? They're trending. Because I remember as a kid, you know, we were just young and stupid, but like, it's like how strong of a beer can we get? And there was a beer called Steelback. Did you guys ever have that out here?
I don't think so.
It was like one of the first, like, you know, it was like an aluminum bottle. It was Steelback. Oh, fuck. It was Brian and I who got this. He convinced me to get this. He's like, oh, look, it's so strong. It was over 10%. It was disgusting. I later found out, I think it was one of the Dragons companies or something. Like, yeah, I found out there was some kind of weird connection to it many years later. I'm like, I will never have that shit beer again. But, you know, we grew up on like Lakeport Honey. I don't know if you guys have that out here. That was a buck a beer for us back then. Yeah, a little aggressive.
I think my life's too short to drink shitty beer.
There's no point. And you know what's crazy is, again, I was mentioning I'm not like, would be more of a casual wine guy than a casual beer guy. Like if I'm going to have one, I'll typically do wine. But what that's made me is like a beer snob. Like I actually can't drink a Canadian. I think it's trash. I can't drink Coors Light. I think it's
absolute
piss. Honestly, it tastes like piss. I will say no, but if you came with 6 these different ones, yeah, I'll have one for sure.
I saw someone, he was a friend, he's now an acquaintance, order a Coors Light.
Step down.
A Coors Light. I verbally abused him for 30 minutes.
Of course. No wonder he's just an acquaintance.
You're saving $1 to drink cat piss? Or you
It's
can drink
literal
this
cat
like
piss, man.
nectar of the gods.
This is delicious. They are
Amazing, right?
killing it, man.
Okay, let's talk about how we met.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we met.
You know who it was? I was actually thinking about this the other day. Nicole Parmar.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing woman. Incredibly
Nicole's
intelligent.
An absolute online genius.
She's like a Yoda. She has some crazy credentials. Like I was just blown away.
I honestly don't know why she's working with us. I'm serious.
The personality, man. She could probably work with anyone she wants.
She has some
like
huge accounts though.
Massive. And like she's just so incredibly intelligent and so wise as to how it's done. And we met her. I think it was actually my friend from Visual Capitalist. Someone introduced us to her. We got along great. And we basically said, and that's basically been how I built the network out here over the last 2 years, is like, meet people, get to know them. I don't sell them shit. And I say, who do you know that's like a good person that I should get to know, or entrepreneurial, executive, whatever, and build it that way. And typically, second or third meeting, a sale will come. With us, we met a couple times, and then that third time is when we had the really good meeting. And yeah, we narrowed it down a little bit, but we knew right away going in with you guys, like, these guys are fucking creative, which is rare in real estate.
Jamie's creative.
You are too.
In our
he may be the more creative one.
Yeah.
Creativity is a confidence thing. I actually read a book called Creative Confidence. Totally. It's like everyone's creative. It's just about being confident in it and willing to shoot your shots, right? And I remember the vibe was just fucking awesome. And we come from a real estate background. Like, we own Ottawa's largest real estate media provider. Different company, bookmylisting.com. So we know realtors intimately. We have like 200
you do like
photos, video, aerial, 3D, anything you can think of to market your listing. We originally, about 5 years ago, acquired a real estate photography company, brought him on as a partner. One of the best things the company ever did was bring this guy on as a partner. He's a fucking stud. Really, really good with details, which is not I'm a high level vision guy, relationships guy. Details and nuts and bolts, that's where he comes in. And anyways, we acquired that. We quickly grew to be the fastest. And then about a year ago, we merged with the second or third biggest one to kind of spin it off and focus a little bit more on the creative work, which is what we do with you guys. But it's proven advantageous because we get it. We get the real estate industry. But kudos to you guys, is like super fucking creative. Super creative. Rare.
It was really fun. Like, I remember those first couple meetings, and Jamie and I had talked about it going in, but he had a lot of ideas.
A lot of ideas.
And so he's just like throwing things at you, and I could see your guys' faces, and you're just like, okay, this is a lot of shit.
It was like a tornado of ideas. Like, I had never experienced, because typically you go into a meeting and video's new, right? So they're looking at you to tell them some ideas, right? And it's that fine balance. You don't want to give too much of your intellectual creativity without, signing on the dotted line kind of thing. But Jamie had I've never seen so many ideas. And honestly, Brian, Darren, and I still talk about how that was one of our largest accomplishments of a project for two reasons. One, because we were able to synthesize what was like a fucking an incredible amount of creative ideas into something that you guys felt engaged and powerful about, which was most important, because as you guys were the lead actors in the piece, and without that engagement, we wouldn't have gotten as successful as we did. And so we still talk about that as like, wow, that was one of the best synthesizing jobs we've ever done, to take a client's ideas, which, as you know, Jamie, was a ton, and synthesize them into something that they would go full steam on. And I wasn't there on the shoot, but I know it was a 2 or 3 day shoot, if I'm not mistaken.
I was told by Brian I wasn't allowed to say how short the shoot was. Because other clients of yours would assume that that's normal.
Well, I remember one of them.
It was 2 days.
It was 2 days, eh? One of the shots, the breakfast scene, the guys told me it took like 2 hours to frame that shot, which we'd never, ever in our 7.5 years prior ever spent that much time framing a single shot. 2 hours. But it showed. We worked really hard on that storyboard. We got it approved, worked really, really closely with you guys. The script, remember, we went a couple times back and forth. Yeah. Got that amazing narrator who just kills it. Everyone might know who he is. Check out that video. And the success. So you guys posted it, and we shared it to Waterbridge, and I do the whole thing. I manage a couple of social accounts, so you'll maybe see on your on your Facebook, like, if a ton of likes come in all at once, it's typically me, and I'll just change the account, change, toss in a love, toss in a little haha, whatever, because I got like 6 or 7 accounts. So I shared it, but that week, it was legit that week that Facebook stopped allowing you to promote shared posts. So what we were actually going to do is we had $300-400 that we were going to put behind the post, because we were really proud of it. We wanted to share it and then promote it for you guys as part of an added value, but it also makes us look good the more you guys get out there. And then I posted it. They didn't allow us to boost it. Kind of frustrated. And like a month later, I pull it up on YouTube, and there's like fucking 200,000 views. How? To this day, I'm still not entirely sure. Maybe we can talk off podcast. You can tell me the secret sauce, but like it was at 206,000 last time I saw it.
That's about right. I don't know either.
Amazing.
And we put a little bit of money behind it in terms of marketing it on social media.
But did you put money on YouTube? I know you put money on Facebook. Bit. Okay.
Not a ton, but
not 200,000 views worth. You can't.
I don't think so. And we looked at it after like a week or two, and it was at like 30 or 40,000, and we were like, oh, that's not as exciting as we would have liked it to get to.
Of course, which is still pretty good on YouTube. We looked
at it like a month later, and it was over 200. Like, oh, what happened?
It's crazy, man.
But sweet, yeah.
It's still one of our proudest pieces. Like I love that piece. I share it all the time. Legit all the time.
Still haven't even used the we called it a blooper reel. It was more like a behind the scenes like clip that we.
It's funny.
It was a minute.
Yeah. I remember that one.
We'll share it this spring, I think.
One of the favorite scenes is when you had that plant in your face. That one killed me, man. That one I just laughed because I didn't see any of this live, right? I saw the storyboard, but then I saw like the first draft, maybe a draft or two before you see it. We go through a couple internal ones and then we send it to the client. But I saw that scene and I actually laughed out loud. I found it funny. And it's so authentic. It's so you guys.
Darren came up with that. And that was a really good idea. Yeah. And watching it back, like I laugh at it.
Yeah.
Because I can remember how many times and it wasn't a ton. It was maybe like 10 or 12 that we took that little clip.
Yeah.
And every single time he's like, no, too hard. You're hitting the plant too hard.
He's awesome like that, man. He's such a good director. Like he's such a personable, creative fucking dude. And that's why we went with him. He's so creative. So creative.
He's a likable guy too.
Very likable. Very, very likable. I mean, that's actually how Vancouver Waterbridge West started. Clio, which was a tech company out of, I think it's Burnaby. Or it's Surrey. It's Burnaby or Surrey for sure.
Okay.
They're a legal tech software. They have about maybe 300 people. Darren was the brand manager there. He hired us because they were doing stories across Canada for lawyers who lose their platform. He hired us in Ottawa. The video we made with him ended up getting over 3 million views. It is by far their highest. And they've invested, this was 2 or 3 years ago. They've invested, this was 3 or 4 years ago. And they've invested multiple rounds of video after with local producers, whatever. We kind of got, when we poached Darren, we were kind of on the bad list after that, but worth it. Anyways, to this day, the largest views. And then I was out here and, I said, why don't we go for a pint? And it was a Tuesday. I know for sure it was a Tuesday because it was like an odd day to go for a drink, but whatever. People love to drink out here. It's crazy.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah. Good point. Great night to drink. And so the one beer turned into like 10. And we're like, I don't drink often. When I drink, I drink, but I don't drink often. And so we were like certified shit face at this point. This was local Kitslano in Kits at the local. Yeah. And we're just like 10 pints deep. And he's like, oh, I'm fucking done with Clio. It's got all his VC money. It's totally changed. He was there when it was a smaller company. It's now multi-100 people. So I kind of want to do my own thing. I'm thinking of going on my own. And it's just like, why don't we start Waterbridge West? Knowing that video production's huge out here. There's a lot of synergies, etc. He loved it right away, and obviously we're drunk, so I like pumped the brakes a second, woke up the next day, I'm like, this is still a good idea. Went back and pitched it to my partners in Ottawa, and huge risk, right? Because like we're funding with, Darren's got a network, but essentially no network out in Ottawa. Our network was built in, and I've been nurturing that for 9-10 years, and Brian has as well, so it's there, we're known. Here was from scratch. So it was difficult. It certainly was. Like I thought it would go quicker than it did. We're about 18 months in now. I thought maybe in the first year it would go a little bit quicker, but now the stride we're hitting is fucking crazy. Like we will do probably half the projects out here and yield the same revenue.
Really?
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because real estate is very different.
Yeah.
One of the things that attracted me to real estate was no inventory, very low overhead to get in.
Work from home.
And zero funding.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was early on, or starting a new branch in Vancouver.
Yeah.
How do you go about funding?
Tricky question. So
especially when you don't have a network out here.
Well, exactly, right? So building Waterbridge, we bootstrapped the entire thing. We didn't take any money to start. we put like for years, I'm talking years, I took like us as leaders took less than 10 grand. Everything went back into the company because we're young. We're like, my biggest thing, short-term sacrifice, long-term gain.
100%.
I couldn't give a fuck less about where I am today. I'm happy with where I am today. Have I reached the success that I know I will? No. But I know it's all part of the process. I know the sacrifice, the craft dinner, the ramen noodles, the shit that, I'm still partaking in a lot of ways is part of the journey. It's part of the process. So they loved it. And, we agreed on a salary, which obviously out here, cost of living is a little bit different. Like, give you an idea. We could get for $500K, we could probably get a 4-bedroom detached home, backyard, lawn, 2-car garage.
This is in Ottawa.
Yeah. So,
you know what 500K gets you here?
A shoebox?
Downtown?
Nothing.
Vancouver? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
East Van, small 1-bedroom. New West, where we work a lot.
Yeah.
A really nice new 1-bedroom, or like a really small 2-bedroom in a 1970s building that hasn't been renovated.
It's fucking crazy. Because like my one of my best friends, like one of my closest friends since I was 12, he's a couple of years younger than me. He moved out to Whisk a couple of years ago. Him and his girl live out there. She's also a good friend. She's a lawyer for a firm out there in Squamish. And they have a place, and it is maybe 700 square feet, subdivided into 2. So we're talking like 350, 400 square feet per unit.
They cut condos into 2?
Not even. I guess like it was zoned commercially. It may have been a hotel before. So actually their apartment has that perfect splitting door. Hotel door.
Weird.
Guess how much they yielded? Sorry, Nick and Curse, but guess how much they yielded last year from the one side. They lived in one. Guess how much the other side yielded them?
In rent?
Yeah. Airbnb rent.
40 to 50 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 46K.
I was going to say 4K a month.
And in the last 2 years, their equity went up 200 grand. I think the 800 square feet's worth just under 800K.
Also, news update for BC residents. They just came out with a speculation tax. Have you heard that? So anything in the specified areas, which is like Greater Vancouver, Kelowna, some parts of the island.
All the way out to Kelowna.
They circle off areas that have been busy in the last couple of years, basically. The NDP is fucked up.
Let's not even get started on that. That's a whole new podcast.
Still, I'm fine.
We're lucky in Ontario right now.
Oh my God. Whistler is not in this. So speculation tax. If a home is vacant or not rented out at least 6 months a year, you pay a 0.5% tax.
Of the home value?
Of the home value, assessed value.
That's insane.
Whistler is not included in that. So I see Whistler values going up because of vacation properties that people can now buy.
So that's actually what we were talking
about. Or
about.
Airbnb or whatever. Because one of the speculations, or one of the stipulations, I should say, is that if you're renting out a home, that's fine. It has to be rented at least 6 months a year, but it has to be rented in at least 1 month terms. So Airbnbs won't qualify for this speculation tax,
which is so fucking stupid.
It's ridiculous. It's only going to last like 2 years until the NDP's out.
Well, it's exactly it. Like, me, I'm here minimum every 3 months for like 8 to 14 days typically.
And you probably use Airbnb
all the time. And what I actually found out is they're obviously cracking down on Airbnb quite a bit, but the city has a 30% shortage in hotel rooms. So what the fuck is tourism going to do? And for me, I'm here for a week. I'm not paying $300 a night to stay in this with no kitchen, no privacy, no balcony, no nothing. Not worth it. But it's crazy. Like they're thinking this same couple, they're like, it's hard to raise a family in Whistler unless you want your kid to be like, a semi-hippie kind of. It's very different, let's say, right? It's not necessarily the
snowboarder
quintessential. Not
long
that it's
hair,
wrong.
Always wear it too.
Yeah, exactly. Not that it's wrong. For anyone who loves that, I'll power to them. But for some people, it can be difficult to raise a family there.
All your friends are Australian.
Yeah, exactly. And they're only here for 2 months or 3 months, kind of transient place. And they're thinking like, do we sell this and move to Squamish? Don't fucking sell it. Hold on to it. And what she said, and she's a lawyer, she said there's 2 risks. A, they rezone the place. They're fucked if they get rezoned out of nightly rentals because they're so screwed. And B, when the economy does take its next dip, whenever that is, some people say this year, other people say it's a far away, whatever. The first thing to get hit is resort towns, right? No one's going to a resort when the economy is terrible. They don't want to. So they're debating this, and I'm saying, fuck, if anything, find an investor, buy half of it from you, use that half to go buy your place in Squamish or Ontario, wherever you want, and own half the place. Because in 10 years, what's this going to be worth? It's at the bottom of the hill. It's like if you know where Southside Grill is, it's like 2 seconds from there.
Yeah.
Like 2 seconds. Like I could almost hit it with a really good throw. It's crazy. And it went up 180K in the last 2 years. That's the thing about real estate.
I should give them my phone number. I'd like to chat with them.
Yeah, I will.
One, because I'd like to buy their unit.
If I have anything to do with it, they won't sell all of it. I keep saying, I have friends who are doing, let's say, very, very well for themselves. And
the problem in real estate is everyone, let's say 95% of people think super short term. Think, oh no, what if this market crashes and it goes down 20% tomorrow?
Who cares?
Sweet. Don't sell it.
Buy more.
Exactly.
Right? Because at the end of the day, a place like Whistler may be the first to get hit, but we'll always bounce back.
100%.
We'll always,
it's like Greater Vancouver.
That's exactly it. Like you can't.
We saw a 20% hit in the last 6 months.
Which is crazy. I mean, that must have affected your business tremendously. The
2018 sales were down a lot overall in Greater Vancouver.
So volume's different out here, right?
What do you mean?
Like, what's your volume, if you don't mind? Just rough, like you don't have to put numbers. Yeah. Like, how many homes would you sell in a year? Or, sorry, let's put it this way. How many homes, to avoid putting your numbers out there, but how many homes would the top realtors sell, volume-wise?
I don't know the top sell. Anyway, we sold 163 properties in 2017.
Wow.
Sold 120 last year.
Okay, so that's quite a big drop. But that's, as I understand, still quite a bit out here. Like, we have...
So that puts us in... To be in an individual top 1% in Greater Vancouver, you need to sell about 50.
Oh, wow.
To be top 1% in terms of teams, you need to sell about 120.
And how many realtors are on your team?
Last year we had 3. This year, well, we acquired realtors throughout the year.
Yeah.
This year we now have 6.
Nice. Congrats. Yeah, it's very different in Ottawa. Like, the good teams fucking dominate. Like a good buddy of mine, Paul Rushforth, he owns a broker. He did it the smart way. He's a former pro hockey player, but he opened his own brokerage. Instead of doing a team, he opened a brokerage and built his team out that way with his brand.
It's a lot of secretariat work with that.
A ton.
Like, we've obviously thought about that stuff.
I think a company of 40 all in. They sold 800 or 900 homes last year.
With 40.
No, I think their staff of 40 is like all staff. They have like researchers on staff. They have admin. They have like every part of the process is covered by someone. And they're super huge in the community, like major givers. But like there are a couple teams that are clients, like 200, 300, 400 listings, very successful, but it's different. I hear out here it's less volume, and I hear the commission is less. That's what a realtor was telling me, which is...
What I've heard in Ontario is flat 5%.
Yeah, but I think they split it, and I should know this,
but I think
between buyer and seller, 2.5 each.
But that means 2.5 each.
Yeah.
Whereas most, or I'd say like 90-ish% of realtors charge some variation of 7% on the first 100,000.
Okay.
And 2.5 to 3% on the balance.
And you have to split that both ways.
Split between buyer and seller.
Holy shit.
It's quite a bit. It's
when
you're selling $1 million or $2 million home, that's a big gap.
Yeah. Right now it's like a seller's market in Ottawa. Like
still.
Big time. Like, man, one of our big clients, these guys here, they do a couple hundred homes. They sold a home in the Glebe, which would be the equivalent of like kind of like Kits or it's like our center town. It's close to where the CFL team plays. Old Victorian style homes. This one was renoed. They sold in 5 days, 1.4 mil, 100K over asking. And that's like 1.4. Not a huge amount, but that's goals. That's where I want my house eventually. If I didn't want space, it's
2017. These are our numbers. So we sold 163 homes. The average sale price was 8% over the list price, and the average home sold in 9 days.
So that's fucked. Actually, you guys taught us that. That's what blew me away, because when I came to Vancouver for the first time on a business standpoint, I thought I knew a lot about the real estate industry, and I do from an Ontario, Ottawa perspective.
Sure.
But when you told me it was, I remembered 7 at the time, but I would definitely relate to what you're saying at 9. But when you told me 9 at the time, it was 39 in Ottawa. And it was you or Jamie who said...
But that's a normal market for Greater Vancouver is like 20 to 30 days on market.
Because it was you or Jamie who told us, you said... Here's the deal. Here in Vancouver, it's not the listings competing against each other, which is very, very Ottawa-like. People invest a lot into marketing a listing because it's listing to listing. Here, the listing's going to sell regardless. You could take photos with your iPhone and it may sell not 9 days, maybe 14 or 15, but the home is going. And so what you guys do, and that's why I guess you hired us and we worked together, was to market against other teams, to show that you're the team not to work with. It doesn't matter what houses you have in your inventory, it's who do you want to work with. In Ottawa, it's very different. Very different. Not many realtors
what you have invest. In your inventory?
Yeah, it's what you have in your inventory. Obviously, your community presence is big, but some of the biggest realtors don't invest half of what some realtors do here in their marketing. And Ottawa's very conservative. Like, if you do like a print mail out campaign and you send 50,000 out, no way of tracking, no nothing. People tell you great job, marketer of the year. No joke. It's crazy. It's like, what standard have we set? I think it's because we're very much a government town. There's a lot of like complacency in certain ways, but like it's very different, very, very different than out here. Which is why I love coming out here. The energy is fucking awesome, man. Like, I have more meetings after 5 o'clock out here in 1 week's time than I do in a quarter in Ottawa. No joke. In Ottawa, it's like, you want to get to, let's have a meeting. Okay, great. I'll come by the office for a 10 a.m. coffee. Here, legit, maybe 4 out of 10 times I say, you want to do coffee in the morning? They say, how about happy hour? No joke. It's a very different mentality out here. It's like, and I like it because it allows you to get to know people. You know, like, I think it was like 11 o'clock when we had our first beer storm. So not the 5 o'clock time, but like, it was not coffee. It like was not coffee. You have to understand that
my partner owns a brewery. So the 11 o'clock beer is not as strange for us as it is for most people in the working environment.
So worth it, because I'm coming every time from like Kits or Mount Pleasant, right? So this is like a bit of a hike for me. Worth it every time. I feel like we're at Steel and Oak right now. Fuck.
Okay, speaking of Steel and Oak, what's our next beer?
What is our next beer?
So we have another hazy, which is pretty similar to what we just drank. So
this is different. Oh yeah, okay.
It's a different beer, but it's similar. We have a Weizenbock, which is a strong wheat ale, and we have an Anvil, which is defined by Steel and Oak as an extra strong stout.
Jordan is a wordsmith, eh? I only met him very briefly.
Strong.
Yeah.
And it's stout.
Sold. Very creative guy, though. I met him for like 2 seconds and like, he had a good vibe. But dealer's choice.
Do you like stouts?
I can get down.
Do you like wheat beers?
Yeah.
Let's go wheat beer.
Oh, honestly, I'll try anything once. Like, I'm a pretty open guy like that.
Let's go wheat beer.
Not anything, but a lot of things. Let me correct myself there. Not anything once, that's for sure.
It's 8 o'clock. Do we have 15 minutes?
Is it already? Oh, shit.
Time flies. Wrap up.
No, like we have 15 minutes for sure.
We didn't get it into as much as I would like of the media company, but
I know. I feel like we're catching up so much, right?
Totally.
That's okay. We'll do this again.
Next time you're back in Vancouver, I'll have you back.
I think so too.
Do you want to try this one, Carl? So Media company starts when you're first year university. 19,
yeah,
which is ultra impressive.
Thank you.
How do you go
From a media company?
Yeah, where does the restaurant industry come into?
Okay, so that's actually crazy. And like, you know, I'm a big mentor guy. So when I was 19, and my dad was very connected, so I had privilege, like doors were open, just I had to walk through them and make plays. But I actually I have a template, and I still have it to this day. It was the same email to almost everyone. A little bit of massaging, but hey, X, it was great to meet you last night as a young entrepreneur, you know, still in my teenage years. Learning from someone like you is incredibly invaluable. Would love to take you out for a coffee or lunch on me. I'll accommodate your convenience at any time. Like 9.9 out of 10 people said yes. I figured out why
this
over
is
time.
when you were 19?
Yeah.
Just after you got involved in Waterbridge?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew like I always want to be learning from people who have done it or are smarter.
You had a 99% return rate.
99%. Yeah.
Yes.
Why? I think it was in part because the people I were asking they weren't random. They were like curated. And I'm part of a CEO group that's like, at the time I was like the youngest by 25 years and the brokest by a couple million. Like it's pretty big players. No joke. It's pretty big players in Ottawa. And so at the time
How'd you get involved in that?
My dad.
Okay.
So he brought me once, he invited me. And then the rule is, you know, someone can bring you, but you have to get invited back by someone else. And I sat next to a guy who owns 4 or 5 dealerships and we got along great. And he said, you know, I want to nominate him. And I was the youngest member by like a long time. Now a few young guys are coming in, but so I always knew that, okay, these guys are pretty successful. So it was curated, but what I ended up figuring out after was like, it's kind of like a Maslow hierarchy of needs thing. Once they've reached a certain level of success, they don't really care about making more money. I mean, they do, they always will. That's the game, right? When you're a baller, you're an entrepreneur, whatever, but it was more about legacy and like sending the elevator back down and having a hand in someone else's success. So like I've had mentors for the last 10 years. And it's been very, very insightful. I rarely talk to them about Waterbridge, just life. How do you do what you do? What are your challenges? Just like learn all of their shit because like that'll all apply some way or another. And so I did that. And then they all said, you know, never get in the restaurant industry. Like that's a fucking terrible industry. It's one
I
of
would
these
also say that.
dream chaser industries, you know, it's like one of these cool, shiny on the surface, shit below the surface. But one of my best friends since I was 5 years old, like my best friend in the world, Andrew, he's a Sakely in Ottawa. There were a ton of Sakeleys. Like when the Lebanon thing was happening, the Sakely was one of the 5 main families. So there may be over 1,000 Sakeleys, and they're all somehow related to each other. First cousins, second cousins, etc. Anyways, his dad owned a couple of very popular restaurants growing up, and he was very much in the hospitality industry. About 5 years ago, they bought 3 coffee shops. And they were running those, but coffee shops can be a bit of a grind. About 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Andrew, my buddy, became a business broker. Great time to be a business broker. There will be more businesses for sale in the next 10 to 15 years than the world has ever seen. By far, by far. The largest generational transition of wealth is coming over the next 10 to 20 years that we've never seen. It's going to change a lot of industries, but so he sees a lot of really cool shit come across his desk before it ever hits the market, right? It's like you guys, like when you see a nice property, like if you're going to buy it, why would you let it hit the market? You'll put the offer down right away. So he saw this business and it's called Mongolian Village. And it's essentially like a build your own stir fry place. Very healthy.
We have that out here called Mongolian Grill.
Okay, so it's legit same concept. Build your own stir fry, super healthy, super accommodating. The whole kit and caboodle. It had been really popular at one point. Like it was doing like 1.7, 1.8 at one point. The issue is the old owners got very complacent for many years. And right outside, they started doing construction on the bus depot, like our public transport. They shut it all down. In 3 months, the LRT is opening, which is our SkyTrain. Never had one. It's coming in 3 months. We're the last stop on the Eastern SkyTrain. Like I can hit it from the front door. So all of that circumstantial, we got it kind of on a dime. And he said, listen, I want to do this because it's got a 30% net profit margin.
That doesn't even make sense in the restaurant industry.
It's so fucked, man. Our food cost is 18%. And there's never any waste because they pay for it. That's the only reason why I got into it. So what I did, he came to me, he's like, okay, you want in? We fucking rebranded the whole thing. It's very synergistic, right? Because we take it on and then we say, okay, you're going to hire Waterbridge. We'll do your website, we'll do your video, we'll do the whole rebrand, we'll do your guerrilla marketing, we'll set shit up with Yelp, we'll answer all the reviews, do the social media. So everything I get involved with is also a client of Waterbridge. So I can justify my hours in the day. Well, I'm sitting here as an owner of both, but it's paying Waterbridge for my time and I'm getting paid for improving it. So he came to me, he's like, listen, this is what I want to do. It's very, very profitable. I'm a business broker, so I only want to do this for 2 years and then I want to scale out of it. And, you know, at a 30% profit margin, if we can get to 1.3, 1.4, do the math, it's fairly profitable. So he said, I want to do this. And I said, okay, I'll take out all my cannabis stocks at the time, which fucking, I think went like 6 or 7 times, like funded all my investments last year was cannabis stocks. And I'll put it in, and then I'll bring my buddy who is a partner in Waterbridge, silent partner, but also an accountant. This guy owns multi-businesses and he'll invest. And then my buddy from the Red Blacks. And I said, the CFL team, and I said, listen, we're going to bring him in on the same percentage. He'll invest, but it's the clout that'll come with it because we have like a CTV story coming. We have like a Ottawa Sun, Ottawa Citizen. It's all free media because this guy's a Grey Cup champion and now he's owning a local business, right? So kind of tailored in that way. 2 years will be fully debt free. Ideally in 4 we'll have location 2, 3 or 4 and then sell the whole pile of them. That's the goal. Or if it's a cash cow, we're all making 40, 50 G's a year dividends, and I'm okay with that too, personally. But it's just about creating these streams of income. But again, it's back to like short-term sacrifice, long-term gain. Like I put all of my money into ventures last year. I lived off craft dinner, which is crazy.
That is insane.
Crazy. I've always been super risky. Yeah. Like when I was 21, I bought a piece of art for $6,000. And my parents fucking lit me up. Like, think of this. My dad is an Eastern Euro immigrant. Yeah, he's well off, but like they lit me up. And I'm like, no, guys, trust me. Like, this is good. It's like a contemporary artist. Okay. And I'm like, no, you know, his minimum's 10. He's giving it for me for 6. Because I slowly started to see him come up. And then I messaged him. He said 5K. I said, I'm not paying 5K for a fucking piece of art. Fuck that. Message him 2 years later when he's way more popular. He's like, now my min's 12. I'm like, oh, you told me 5. Can you honor that? And he said, yes. So I said, fuck it. I may as well. If his street value's 12, 5, worst case, you know, I'm left with something not so great, but whatever. It's gone up 8 times since then. And so now I'm considering, do I sell it? Do I not? This is a down payment on a home, but you know, 4 or 5 years from now, it could be more. And now my family's like, oh, I guess that was kind of a good decision, but pure stroke of luck. And that was like my last $6,000. Like, it's not like I had $6,000 and then money to live. It was like $6,000. I'm down to 0. And that's what I did all year this year. Like restaurant, quantum computing company, and a water company. All of my funds back to craft dinner. It's crazy.
I did that for a year and you've been doing it for 10.
It's worth it. And yeah, I think it's worth it. Like these investments are doing really well and gaining a lot of traction, but they're not liquidable. I can't just take them out tomorrow. So it's like this interesting dynamic where like I'm living in like this, you know, I got a lot of successful investments that are like multiplying, like not just once or twice, like 5, 10, 20 times. But I'm like, okay, craft dinner for dinner tonight kind of thing. This is fucking crazy, but I'm hoping in like, you know, 10 years I can just not have a day job and just make deals. So it's fun.
Isn't that the dream, eh?
Really is. And that's how the quantum thing came about. It's like a good friend of mine for 5 years. He founded the company. He's a chief investment officer for 50 companies. This guy brought in 100 mil from China last year. Like a baller. And the co-founder of the quantum company, Randy, one of the most brilliant guys I've ever met in my life, PhD in quantum physics and artificial intelligence, immigrant from China. He went to my buddy James and he said, I have this quantum security processing company that I can quantum secure information in transit. And he's like, I need you to help me take this because James is a money guy. Like he can raise millions of dollars in weeks. Easy. So we went in and James came to Brian and I and he's like, listen, I've never invested in a company like this. I've never been willing to run a company like this. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Do you guys want in? And we said, I took everything. I fucking took out a loan to put it in. which is so crazy, so stupid. But our next raise is 2.5 times. So we're going through that right now. So and I can liquid it if I want, but it's big shit. And I'm the guy who dropped out of science in grade 10. And I'm now sitting across from this quantum physicist who's like explaining his theory to me, like genuinely explaining his theory to me. And I'm like, how did I end up here? This is the network.
100%.
Because they saw us, they're like, you invest, but bring people to the table. And we've brought some, like, through my connections, we'll probably raise 400 or 500K on the next round through my connections alone of the 2 mil. And then some pretty big partnerships are aligning themselves. Tech can go down any second, but this one is very, very, very interesting. So what I like about it most is the learning. That's what Brian and I talked about, is if we lose it all, the best fucking tuition we could have had. Way better than any money I spent in university.
Don't even get me started on that one.
So
I feel like our conversation was kind of all over the place, which was phenomenal.
Did we just
for me.
get started?
But we ended on literally the 2 of the maybe 5 things that I'm so passionate about is 1, networking is king. Meet as many people as possible and always treat people well, because you never know when it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
And short-term, long-term. You have, like, it just doesn't make sense how many people in business are focused on making money tomorrow. You're always going to lose.
I don't need a Rolex today. I don't give a fuck.
I don't want a Rolex when I'm 95.
Well, there you go. I'm kind of a watch guy, but like when I have to spend it myself, that's a different story. But so we'll see.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is, like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to be in the club tomorrow. I'm surely not spending $200 on a bottle. No chance in hell. And grow the assets, man. It's like, grow people. Like, wedding. I would never spend 40 G's on a wedding. For anyone who wants to, all the power to them. It's their day. They do whatever they want. But to me, I'm just like, that's a fucking down payment. In Ottawa, that's a down payment on it. That's 10%.
In Ottawa, yes.
That's 10% on a detached home. Like, that's for real. I don't want one day 40 G's. I'll buy that and then get someone to rent it out. So it's definitely, it's interesting. It's interesting for sure.
Love it. Last thing, I always ask people to make the final statement, and you made 2 great ones there, so I don't know where you're going to go from here, but it's up to you. Reiterate what you just said.
It's a lot of pressure. I mean, my final
Talk
statement.
Talk about craft dinner. Fuck, I love that shit.
Craft dinner's fantastic.
I may have outdone you in that 1 year, but in 10 years you've crushed me.
You probably did. For me, it's about gratefulness, man. Like I've realized, like, I've gone through some health shit over the last couple of years, and like, it's not the worst. It's annoying, it's cumbersome, it's not the worst thing ever, but what's taught me is, like, it could always be worse. Like, I have my family, they're healthy. I have my friends, they're healthy. I'm fucking in Vancouver doing business, having beers on a podcast. Like, fuck, I'm lucky. So like, all the other little shit that happens, I always remind myself, like, could be worse. Could have a terrible disease, could be dying tomorrow, could be working a 9 to 5 somewhere. For whoever that is, that's fine, but that's not me, right? And I have all these things that I can be grateful for. So it's about reminding myself about that, because, like, I'm sure you get it too. It sometimes can be hard to live in the moment when you want so much for yourself in the future. You know what I mean? Like, you're like... For
me, it's not, though.
Really, eh?
Because something you just said is... Well, the way I think about things is... When something negative happens, I think, what's my alternative? So I think one option is learn from a mistake,
turn lessons into learning, or losing into lessons.
Learn, don't make the same mistake again, and grow. Or dwell and be miserable and fail.
Which never the latter at this point, right?
What's my alternative? That's what I replay in my head is, what is my alternative?
I'm like right along that thought, because I think the same way, but sometimes I need to really pause and just kind of appreciate the process, like appreciate the growth, because like I've always, like, I will achieve the certain level of successes that I've set out for myself. I know I will, but it's like, at what pace? And that pace is where you have to get comfortable with, is like, trust the process. Trust that your losses are going to turn into lessons. Trust that your high points will carry you through. Trust that shit, and eventually you'll get it. All these ultra successful people, they all have failures. They don't talk about them. They all have failures. They all have a good team around them. No one really gets rich alone. That's one thing I've noticed, like, especially in Ottawa. I'm building like a good network of friends who are successful in different fields, and bringing them together on things. things. And the more you do that, like, you know, I look at these people in that group I was talking about, it's like they all do investments together. One of my mentors is going to make fucking on his next deal over $100 million after tax.
Like those numbers don't even make sense to me.
That's like such fuck you money. It's insane. And so it's like, shoot your shot, stay the course, trust the process. It will eventually come. I'm not there yet, but I'm infinitely confident that for people who do that, it always comes. It's like that meme. You ever see that meme where it's like two guys digging for diamonds and one guy's keep going forward and the other guy is given up and turned back, but he only has like an inch left to go before the jackpot. Yeah. I always think about that in my head as like the next corner could be the jackpot. Keep pushing, right?
Or the next relationship you build or
exactly,
whatever.
Exactly. So like pretty lucky, like, you know, met some really successful people, built some good relationships, know a couple billionaires that I can kind of message and pick their brain. And like, that's fucking crazy to me. And that, I can appreciate that for what it is. I don't need my stuff to appreciate what that's bringing to me.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on. That was a lot of fun.
Part one, let's call this part one because I think we have a lot to chat about.
For sure. Yeah. I know you've got a crazy week while you're here, but I appreciate you spending a couple hours with me.
Thanks for having me, bro. Really appreciate it.
Guys, thanks so much for listening. As you can tell, Nick is like the definition of entrepreneur, and I'm pretty excited to talk to him. But how can people reach you if they have questions?
Reach out to
Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Not an Instagram guy.
A little bit of an Instagram guy. Not as much as Denny. Not as much as Jamie either. Waterbridge Media Instagram is a good one. I'm always on that. LinkedIn is also a good one as well. And Denny is also a great one.
Beauty.
Love it.
Guys, I would love to hear your feedback. Hit me up on Instagram, denny.dumas. Later.